Hey everyone, I'm Karishma from Pathways Education. In this presentation, we're going to be covering the basics of sugar, and we have a worksheet that goes along with this presentation. You can find it in the description box below. You can either do it while listening to the presentation, or you can also do it after as a way to sort of see if you've learned the concepts that were taught. So let's go ahead and get started. So like I was saying earlier, we're going to be talking about sugar, which is under our nutrition pathway. You can find more videos in our nutrition pathway on our website. So this is going to be today's pathway. The first thing we're going to be talking about is what is sugar. Then we're going to be talking about the effects of sugar, recommended intake, and finally making healthy choices and eating right. So, what are some sugary foods? If you think about this question, some of the first foods that might come to mind are donuts, soda, cupcakes, chocolate. These are your classically sweet foods that I'm sure we all crave sometime or another. But let's really get into what really is sugar and why are some sugars good for us and some sugars not good. So, sugar is a type of carbohydrate, and a carbohydrate falls under one of the four major classes of macromolecules that our body needs to make energy. So you might be thinking, if our body needs sugar for energy, then why do people always say too much sugar is bad? And also, looking here at these two pictures, we have cake and banana. Both are typically sweet foods, but why is one good for me and why is one bad for me? So sort of think about these questions, mull them over, pause the video, jot some ideas down, and we'll talk about the answers on the next slide. So the answers to these questions lies in the source of the sugar. Looking at the bigger picture, sugars are all broken down in the same way. So instead of eating fruits, why can't I just eat candy instead if sugar is broken, if all sugars are broken down in the same way? We all know the answer is no, but why? And the answer lies, like we had said earlier, in the source of the sugar. So where is the sugar found? With what other molecules is the sugar found? So there's two main categories, and the first is fruit, which is where you would find natural sugar. And then the other category is refined sugar. And an example of where you would find that is cake. So let's go ahead and talk about the differences between these two and why people always say to eat fruit every day, but to not eat cake every day. So if we compare these two, we see that fruit has fructose and galactose, which are the carbohydrate molecules. And cake also has fructose and galactose. So this doesn't really give us too much of an idea because they both have the same types of sugars. So let's move down. And here we see that there's a really big difference. So in fruit, you also find fiber. And fiber causes the breakdown of sugar to be much, much slower. Whereas in cake and other more refined and processed foods, you find not very much fiber, and this causes the breakdown of sugar to be much, much faster. So the faster breakdown of sugar from cake and other refined sources causes very, very strong spikes in insulin levels. And this is exactly what we don't want. And fruit, because there's a high fiber content, it does not cause such a strong spike in insulin. Also, another benefit to getting your sugar from fruit is that fruits are rich in vitamins and other nutrients, whereas cakes, cookies, sodas, they really lack any other nutritional value. So moving on, let's take a quick look at a real life application that kind of, exemplifies what we were just talking about. So in this first column, we have a medium orange, and the sugar content in this orange is about 10 to 13 grams. Now, like we were saying earlier, fruit is high in fiber content, and that's exactly what we see here. So this medium orange has fiber. We also said that fruits are very rich in vitamins and other nutrients. So we see here that the medium orange has lots of vitamins. It also causes you to feel full because there's a slow, controlled rise in blood sugar. Now this figure was taken from a study done at Harvard. Here's the link down here if you want to check it out. Now let's move on to the orange juice. Okay, so the orange juice, there is 48 grams of sugar in orange juice. Now you can see that this is a lot more than what you would find in a medium orange. And there is a mid-level amount of fiber. You get your vitamins, but it doesn't cause as much feeling of fullness. And that's because there's a more rapid blood sugar spike in fall. Now we go to orange soda, and there's 58 grams of sugar. And in soda, like we were saying earlier, this falls under the refined sugar. And, there's no fiber. It lacks other nutritional value, and this causes a very strong spike in insulin. So this is exactly what we see in this column. There's no fiber, no vitamins. It does not cause you to feel full at all. You're getting about 5 times the amount of sugar that you would get in just eating an orange, and it causes a rapid blood sugar spike in fall. So this really exemplifies exactly what we were talking about in the last slide. Okay, so moving on, we talked about what sugar is, the difference between natural sugar and refined sugar. And now we're going to talk about the effects of sugar on your body. So there are benefits to sugar consumption. Like we were saying earlier, sugar is a large source of energy for your body. So it helps us complete our day-to-day activities. It has a beneficial impact on our brain health because our brain prefers sugar as its energy source over any other macromolecule. It can improve cognitive function, and it provides an instant energy and mood boost. So this is kind of what we call a sugar high. We feel good after eating a lot of sugar. But there are also drawbacks to sugar consumption, and that's why we're making this presentation. So like we were saying earlier, it causes insulin levels to spike and then plummet, which is extremely unhealthy. Insulin is a hormone in your body that regulates your blood sugar levels. So when you eat a sugary meal, your body will release insulin to lower that blood sugar and keep it at a baseline level. So if we look at low glycemic foods here, which would be like the fruits we were talking about, the natural sugars, the spike in insulin it's low. But if we look at high glycemic foods, which are, the cakes and the soda, it causes a really, really large spike in insulin. Oops, let's go back. So this increases the risk of getting diabetes and heart disease. It increases the risk of becoming obese. It increases aging, and it also accelerates tooth decay. So sugar has a lot of pluses, but it also has a lot of drawbacks, depending on what type of sugar you're eating. So what is the recommended intake? If we know that sugar can do good things for us, but it can also do bad things for us, what do doctors say we should eat? So how much sugar should you be eating per day? Well, the American Heart Association says that children and teenagers between the ages of 2 and 18 should be consuming less than or equal to 25 grams of added sugar each day. Now you might be thinking 25 grams, that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't if we look at some of the common things you might be eating every day. So after learning about the recommended daily limit, let's apply this to our daily life. How many grams of sugar do you think are in a 12-ounce can of Coca-Cola? I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it, maybe jot down an answer. So there are actually 39 grams of sugar in just one 12-ounce can of Coke. The smallest can size is 7.5 ounces, which contains 25 grams of sugar. So with this information, we can see that with just one can of soda, you have either exactly reached or surpassed the recommended limit set by the American Heart Association. And this is a list of all, the sizes of cans that Coca-Cola makes, taken right off their website. And you can see the amount of sugar present in each size. So now that you've learned about this, where should you look to check sugar content? Well, the first place that you should look is the nutrition label on the food that you're eating. There have been major changes made in the nutrition labels, and we can compare them right here. So they tell you the serving size, which is really important because the calories are based off of the serving size up here. And then one thing that you really would like to look for is the added sugars page. So if we think back to what the American Heart Association limit was, it was 25 grams of added sugar. So we really want to pay attention down here to the added sugar category. So here are some ideas for where you can get healthy sugars. Certain vegetables like pumpkin, squash, fruits like watermelon and blueberries, certain dairy products like yogurt and milk, and also natural sweeteners like honey and maple syrup. All right, so now we finally reached the top of the mountain. We're almost there. Let's talk about eating right. So the best way to incorporate healthy sugars is to be conscious about what you are eating. Make small changes one at a time, and this is the best way to go so you don't feel overwhelmed and you don't feel like you have to change everything about your diet. These changes are not easy to implement, but when you do implement them, you will notice a difference in your energy level and your overall health. There are also many other benefits to your body that are internal and you really won't be able to see visibly, but it's really good for your heart, mind, and your body. So be in charge of what you eat. Wanting a soda with a meal, reach for water instead. Craving cookies for snack, reach for fruit instead. Have the mindset that I'm going to take charge of what I put into my body. All right, so here are some tips. Make it fun. Find new, healthier ways to make alternatives for old favorites. You can visit our website for healthy, affordable, and delicious recipes. Also find a friend or a partner. Make the journey to a more healthy lifestyle together. You guys can share new recipe ideas, and this also increases accountability. And it's all about your mindset. The best thing to do is to stay positive. So this is a little infographic from the American Heart Association. It just talks about some really quick and easy tips that you can make that'll drastically lower your added sugar intake, but you won't feel like you're missing out on that, on your sweet foods. So you can take a look at this in more depth if you would like. All right, so finally, we're going to do a quick concept check. What is the daily amount of added sugar you should be eating, and with what kinds of foods should you be fulfilling that limit with? So the answer is the daily limit is set around 25 grams of added sugar, and we should ideally be eating mostly fruits, vegetables, dairy, and natural sweeteners to fulfill this threshold. All right, thank you for watching. You can follow us to learn more about all the different pathways you can take. We offer nutrition, skill building, financial literacy, and STEM. You can visit us at www.guidingpathways.org. See you next time.